In this week's Three on Thursday, we look at the patterns of migration between states, finding the winners and the losers. Each year, the U.S. Census Bureau produces and publishes estimates of the population for the nation. Populations can change in three ways. People can be born, they may die, or they may move, whether it's domestic or international migration. The U.S. Census Bureau's population estimates program measures this change and adds it to a base population to produce updated estimates every year. Our specific focus today centers on just the change in domestic net migration between states, shedding light on the destinations attracting people within the U.S. and the origins experiencing departures. To gain a more comprehensive understanding of where things sit today, I have three informative charts that I want to share with you. But first, I'd like to thank our friends over at First Trust Advisors LP for putting this information together for us to share it with you. I highly recommend that you follow them. So for more information, follow Brian S. Westbury, Chief Economist at First Trust, and Robert Stein, Deputy Chief Economist over at First Trust. Now, the first chart here, in the most recent annual data available from July 1st, 2023 to July 1st, 2024, South Carolina experienced the highest proportion of domestic net migration relative to its population, standing at 1.2%. Conversely, Hawaii, New York, and California all tied for the most significant loss, accounting for negative 0.6% of the state's population. What do you notice there, right? The predominant factors influencing these migration trends appear to be lower tax burdens and lower cost of living. Examining the tax landscape, the Tax Foundation gauges a state's tax burden by considering state and local taxes paid by residents divided by the state's share of net national product. On their scale, where 1 is the least tax burden state and 50 is the most tax burden state, the top 10 domestic migration winners boasted an average tax burden ranking of 19. In contrast, the top 10 domestic migration losers exhibited an average tax burden ranking of 38. Now, many believed that the migration patterns during COVID would reverse as people return to work, but that has not happened. The data reveal a sustained trend towards states with lower taxes and lower cost of living. Analyzing census data from April 1st, 2020 through July 1st, 2024 shows that Idaho led the way, gaining a 6.0% in domestic net migration as a share of its state population over that period. On the flip side, New York faced a substantial loss with a 4.9% decrease in domestic net migrations as a share of its state population. In terms of sheer numbers, Florida emerged as the leader in net domestic migration, welcoming 872,722 individuals, while it was California who witnessed the largest outflow, losing 1.465 million residents. The top 10 winners in domestic migration over this period displayed an average tax burden ranking of just 15. Conversely, the top 10 losers in domestic migration exhibited an average tax burden ranking of 41. On to the final chart here. One of our favorite indicators of migration patterns is the price of renting a U-Haul to move from one city to another. On the U-Haul website, one can download quotes for these rentals and compare outbound and inbound pricing. If the price is higher for one direction relative to the other, it is a solid measure of supply and demand. U-Haul tries to keep a pricing scheme that keeps the total supply of usable vehicles roughly stable at each location and will lower or raise prices depending on direction in order to recover excess vehicles if volumes don't balance. For instance, taking a 26-foot U-Haul from San Francisco, California to Boise, Idaho incurs a cost of $4,401. In contrast, picking up the same size U-Haul and going the opposite direction, going from Boise and driving to San Francisco, it costs only $962, a mere quarter of the price. This means that many, many more people are moving from San Francisco to Boise than they are moving from Boise to San Francisco. I think that these lessons have all taught us something very, very valuable. People are becoming more aware than ever about high taxes, and they're voting with their wallets. They're leaving states with heavy government oversights and burdens and high taxation, and they're heading toward the states with more freedom and lower taxation. As a standard disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. If you'd like professional assistance with the management of your portfolio or your retirement income planning during these trying times, you can connect with us through our website at snellerfinancial.com or our social media channels. This has been Ron Sneller on another episode of 3 for Thursday. I hope that you found it valuable and informative. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.